Welcome to the Doomsday News Network.
Today marks 8 months since Russia invaded Ukraine, and this morning the U.S., Britain, and France are issuing a rare joint statement rejecting Russian claims of Ukraine preparing to use a dirty bomb on its own territory.
US, Britain and France have joined together to condemn Russia's claim that Ukraine is preparing to use a radioactive dirty bomb on its own people.
Russia's defense ministers accuse Ukraine of planning to use what's called a dirty bomb. Sergei Shoigu is reported to have voiced his concerns during 3 phone calls with his counterparts in the UK, France and Turkey.
A dirty bomb is an explosive made with the intention of dispersing hazardous radioactive substances across a large region. People immediately think of nuclear war where the words bomb and radioactive are combined. However, it turns out that terror, rather than radiation damage, would likely be a dirty bomb's main destructive force.
Good evening on this Tuesday night as this country and the world now reacts to another series of deadly terror attacks.
Imagine if a major city like Los Angeles were to be attacked by terrorists using a radioactive dirty bomb or improvised nuclear device.
The power of a dirty bomb is far closer to that of an ordinary explosion than it is to the enormous devastation caused by a nuclear bomb.
This is the viewpoint seen by many of the 26,000 marathon runners who are approaching the finish line.
It uses common explosives like TNT that have been combined with radioactive substances. It is much less sophisticated, cheaper, and efficient than a nuclear bomb. However, it possesses radiological damage in addition to explosive destruction. Initial carnage is caused by high explosives and their quickly expanding, extremely hot gas. In order to spread radioactive material across a large region rather than using it as a destructive force in and of itself, the main concept of a dirty bomb is to employ and take advantage of gas expansion.
How fast were these things moving when they went out of there?
They can travel 1,000, 2,000 feet a second.
A second? That's faster than sound.
Right, they'll move faster than the speed of sound. These things will actually get in front of the shock wave and hit you before the pressure wave does.
You're hit before you even hear it.
That's right.
Here's what the blast looks like using a high-speed camera. An intense ball of fire, less than 20 feet across. But watch the white rings on the desert floor. That's the shock wave.
The radioactive material spreads after the explosion detonates in the form of a wind-borne dust cloud that covers a much larger region than the explosion itself. A dirty bomb is made up of radioactive powder or pellets mixed in with explosives like dynamite. Radioactive material is then spread over the area when the explosives are detonated. Atoms are split by an atomic bomb, such as the ones dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and a tremendous amount of energy is released, creating an atomic mushroom cloud. An atomic blast, however, cannot be produced by a dirty bomb since it operates differently. Instead, a dirty bomb disperses radioactive dust, smoke, and other materials to produce radioactive contamination delivered by the explosion. The radioactive material's ionizing radiation would be the bomb's long-term destructive force. Ionizing radiation, which includes X-rays, gamma rays, beta rays, and alpha particles, has sufficient energy to jar an orbital electron from an atom.
Take a minute and look at each of these. Alpha radiation is a large charged particle that consists of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. These particles can travel only 1 to 2 inches in air and are easily shielded by a single sheet of paper. In fact, alpha particles will not penetrate the outer layer of skin cells on your body, so they are not considered an external hazard. However, if a material that emits alpha radiation is taken into the body, it can, because of the close proximity, cause damage to body tissues. For this reason, alpha radiation is considered an internal hazard. Beta radiation is a small charged particle. Beta particles are much smaller than alpha particles and can travel up to 10 feet in air. They can penetrate into the skin layers and are considered a skin and eye hazard. But they can also be an internal hazard if a material that emits beta radiation is introduced into the body. Beta radiation can be shielded by plastic, aluminum, or several layers of clothing. Neutron radiation is a neutrally charged particle that can travel several hundred feet in air. Neutron particles have a high penetrating ability and can penetrate through the body. Therefore, they are considered a whole body hazard. To shield neutron radiation, high hydrogen content materials such as water or plastic are used. Gamma ray or X-ray radiation is an electromagnetic wave or photon rather than a particle. Because gamma rays and X-rays have no mass and no charge, they have a high penetrating ability, are able to travel several hundred feet in air and penetrate through the body. They are considered a whole body hazard. Very dense materials such as lead, concrete, or steel are used to shield gamma and X-ray radiation.
Losing an electron upsets the equilibrium between the atom's negatively charged electrons and positively charged protons, resulting in the atom having a net electrical charge. The atom then becomes an ion. More ions could be produced if the free electron collides with additional atoms. Because of an ion's electrical charge, it may trigger abnormal chemical processes within cells. If this occurs in a person's body, the ion could result in a number of catastrophic issues. The charge is capable of rupturing DNA chains, among other things. Either the cell will die or the DNA will mutate if a strand of DNA is broken. The body may experience numerous ailments if a large number of cells die. A cell could develop cancer if the DNA mutates, and the disease could then spread. Radiation sickness is the term used to describe a group of symptoms that are all brought on by exposure to ionizing radiation, and that may also lead to cellular dysfunction. People can survive radiation sickness, especially if they have a bone marrow transplant, even though it can be fatal. We are constantly exposed to small amounts of ionized radiation, which comes from X-ray equipment, natural radioactive isotopes, and space radiation. Because you only receive very low doses of this radiation, the danger is quite minimal, even though it can and does cause cancer. The radiation level would be elevated by a dirty bomb over normal levels, raising the risk of cancer and radiation sickness. Most likely, it wouldn't immediately kill many people, but it might do so in the future. The makers of dirty bombs wouldn't have a difficult time obtaining high explosives because dynamite and TNT are both easily accessible. The amount of radioactive material on hand would be the bomb's principal constraint. Although it is not nearly as readily available as explosives, radioactive material is nonetheless available from a variety of sources worldwide. Hospitals use limited amounts of radioactive material such as cesium-137 in nuclear medicine. Universities also use similar materials to conduct scientific research and experiments. Food irradiation plants use radiation from cobalt-60 to kill harmful bacteria on food. Natural radioactive uranium isotopes are mined for use in nuclear energy. A bad actor could theoretically obtain uranium from numerous mines in Africa. There are many abandoned nuclear batteries littering the former Soviet Union. These portable thermoelectric generators have a considerable amount of strontium-90, a strong radioactive isotope. People could also collect spent radioactive fuel from Russian reactors, which have been abandoned in old nuclear submarines, among other places. They could also assemble a dirty bomb using low-level radioactive materials commonly available, such as the ones found in smoke alarms. This kind of bomb wouldn't do much initial damage. It is likely that the explosion itself would cause some immediate fatalities, as well as property damage, due to the initial blast rather than the radiation. The radioactive material would be propelled by the detonation, however, causing long-term contamination and disease. Beyond the explosion site, a radioactive dust cloud could cover several square miles and travel with the prevailing winds. Prolonged exposure would be the main issue. Numerous radioactive isotopes bond with other substances, such as metal and concrete. As a result, it would be difficult to fully remove the debris without destroying all contaminated buildings. Most of the radioactive material might be washed away by cleanup personnel, but a tiny amount would likely stay in the city for years or possibly decades. Anyone residing there would frequently be exposed to this radiation, which has the potential to cause cancer. The majority of experts agree that a dirty bomb would function more as a disrupting versus a destructive weapon. The widespread panic brought on by the discovery of radioactive contamination can end up doing more harm to the targeted city than the bomb itself. The economy of a nation might also suffer, particularly if the bomb exploded in a large city. Even if the government were to reassure the people that the area was safe to live in, tourism and real estate values may suffer, and the terror felt by the population would be long-lasting. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the Doomsday News Network channel. Stay informed, get prepared, and survive what's coming.